Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Friday Five, but you might be very confused because it is not Friday. Busy Friday, combination of hot housing market, starting with a new company, and also it's baseball season. So, my one of my boys plays JV baseball for Emmaus, and they had a game yesterday at 4. And man, I just could not fit everything in. They did win as well. So, anyway, jumping in to the Friday Five. So let's start with mortgage rates, where we always start. VA 30-year fixed 6.22%, FHA 30-year fixed 6.21%. Conventional 30-year fixed at 6.79%, and the conventional 15-year fixed at 6.16%. So rates very similar to where they were last week. I think slightly worse, but we are still under that 7% Mendoza line, which I think is very good. And there are some signs that maybe rates will continue to improve. Somebody is at my house, apparently. All right, number two, the housing market's heating up. So I just want to run through a recent contract that I received for one of my buyers. Received this yesterday morning, and I think it's anecdotally at least worth mentioning because I do think things are getting more competitive, and that lines up with a couple other originators at other companies that I've spoken to. So I think this was their fourth or fifth offer that they made. And this property was listed, it was a single family cape listed at 245. They ended up offering 265, so 20,000 over. They also included an appraisal gap of 5,000, and they are paying both sides of the transfer tax. So they had to be pretty competitive to get their offer accepted. And I think that's just a sign of the times. I think that's going to continue moving forward. All right, number three, the newest housing agency that has had some really big changes this past week is the FHFA, Federal Housing Finance Agency. And this is the agency that oversees Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the Federal Home Loans banks, too. So it was created back in 2008 in response to the financial crisis to kind of consolidate oversight of all three of those entities to just ensure stability and liquidity in the housing finance system. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the big investors for conventional loans, and ultimately they create the guidelines that all lenders nationally use as well. So what's going on at FHFA? Well, Bill Pulte was appointed and approved as the new director there. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I talked about how he came in and made some personnel changes. I think got rid of a CEO, I think at Freddie. Some HR people got let go, changed the board of directors a lot on both of them, got rid of a bunch of the individuals that were on the board of directors. And this week, they made kind of two pretty worthwhile changes that I think are worth mentioning. First, they terminated special purpose credit programs, SPCPs. Sorry, it's a mouthful. So basically, these were grant programs that targeted borrowers whose income was below 80% of the HUD median. So if you've had a borrower recently who was doing like a 3% down conventional loan and they were getting anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 in grant money from their lender, that's that SPCP. So those are gone. You basically, if you have a customer that's already under contract, you have to close it by, middle of May because you have to deliver it to Fannie and Freddie by the end of May. So that's a pretty big change. And, I'm a little disappointed at that because I think there are people within our country who deserve a hand up, and, they're not going to get it. The next thing that FHFA did this week, they rescinded an advisory bulletin that guided Fannie and Freddie to try to address unfair and deceptive practices. This was called UDAP. So sounds like a good thing, but many thought this policy was a little far overreaching in its scope, and it was also redundant with what some other government agencies were already doing. So I don't know that one's as big a deal. Maybe some people think it is, but I don't. So big picture, this is kind of what I really want you to hear. Big picture on this. This administration is very much, and whether you agree with it or not, and regardless of whether I agree with it or not, this administration's focused on a meritocracy. So everyone is treated equally, created equally too, regardless of income level. And you either qualify or you don't. I think they will maybe move towards like everyone gets the same rates regardless of income level, which there actually have been some programs where you get a little bit better rate. Again, if you're under the HUD area median income. And I think many of that stuff is going to go away. So any housing program that provides incentives or subsidies to lower income borrowers, they are, if they haven't already been cut, are very much at risk of being cut. All right, number 4. So HUD recently made a change to its guidelines this week that now only permanent resident aliens or U.S. citizens are able to get an FHA loan. In the past, if you were a non-permanent resident alien, but you could show that you were here like on a work visa, you could get an FHA loan. That is gone. So that's, again, another pretty big change, and obviously, a function of this administration. All right, number 5. I usually do a quote of the week, but instead of doing that this week, it is such a beautiful day out here. It's about 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's a nice breeze. Hopefully that's not messing up the microphone too much. But it's just, it's wonderful. I'm in a short sleeve shirt and I feel great. So I want to give you 3 places that I would strongly suggest that you go check out today or on another beautiful spring day that are just locally available here that makes you feel like, I don't know, you're not in the city and you're out in nature, but they're very close. So the first one is Green Lane Park, which I was actually at this morning for a trail run with a couple of my buddies. It's in Green Lane, PA, which is just south of East Greenville. There's a huge reservoir there, which you cannot swim in or boat in. Well, I guess you can boat in, but you can't swim in it. But there are a trail system all around it. It's beautiful. It's remote but close. So I would suggest that's a place you could check out. Number 2 place would be Trexler Nature Preserve in Schnecksville. It's also home to the Lehigh Valley Zoo. Again, there's a creek that runs through there, and it's beautiful and it's scenic. And there's great views, and you can go have the kids play in the water. And then number 3 is the Jordan Creek Parkway, which is kind of behind Rothrock, and another place where it's close but beautiful and secluded. If you do go to Jordan Creek, though, make sure you watch out for mountain bikers and disc golfers. You don't need to catch a disc in the head. So, and if you have any questions on any of those places, I know them all pretty well, so call me. I'd be glad to give you some suggestions on where to park and what to do. Thanks for watching. Sorry I'm a day behind. Maybe I should call it the Saturday 6 and add one more thing. But anyway, have a great weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather, and see you next week.